Welcome to Advocacy in Motion. I'm your host, Tommy Finn, and we are here at Brookhaven Country Club for the Retired Basketball Players Association Golf Tournament benefiting the Scott Murray Foundation. And I want to say thank you to our presenting sponsor, Niagara, for making this show possible, as well as all the other shows we've done throughout the year. If you don't know, Niagara is the leading manufacturer of water-conserving plumbing products. Their new stealth-designed toilets save up to 60% of water, which means up to 60% of cost savings. And that's important for every household, but it's especially important for the nonprofit affordable housing projects they work with each year, including the new Oaks project in the Oak Cliff district of Dallas. So I want to say thank you to Niagara for their sponsorship and for their continuing sponsorship in the future.
I want to echo your thoughts about Niagara Conservation. They're one of our sponsors of Hit It Where They Mow, Talking Golf in Texas. And my short version is you want to avoid the water hazards on the course. You want to avoid the water hazards at home by getting the best in plumbing products through Niagara. I also want to thank Veritex Bank, the Golf Bank of Texas. And it's a perfect bank, locally owned bank, strong in its assets and perfect for personal banking and small commercial lending. And I want to thank my two golf courses that are sponsors, the Tempest Golf Club near Longview, Texas, and Dornick Hills Country Club in Ardmore, Oklahoma. Google either one of them, go to their websites for special green fee rates. Tommy, this is a special morning. There's a lot going on at Brookhaven Country Club on a Monday morning, and one of the big things that's going on, and the reason we're here is that they're having a golf tournament today for the National Basketball Players or Basketball Retired Players Association. And we have the local chairman. Is that your title,
yes,
Willie Davis?
Yeah, yes, sir.
But it's an honor to have you on. And,
Thank you.
And you got a beautiful morning for your event.
Oh, gosh, couldn't be better. We're excited that we're going to have a great event. Guys going to have a great time today.
Tommy, I knew he was a basketball player when I shook his hand. I thought I had a pretty good sized hand, but Willie's palmed a few basketballs in his day.
Yes, I have.
Well, we're really fortunate. There's so many great players here today, and we're going to be able to visit with many of them throughout the day. And we're glad to have you on as our first guest.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Tell us a little bit about your association in the local chapter.
Well, the National Basketball Association is comprised of anybody that played in the ABA, NBA, Harlem Globetrotters, and also the WNBA. And we're a charitable organization. We're 501c3, and our mission is to enhance our communities by providing community services and community advocacy to youth. So that's primarily that's my focus with this organization, is to empower our youth today and try to give them the skills and the necessities they need to carve a life out for themselves.
That's a great cause. Give us an example of how you help the kids today.
Well, basketball is so popular that we use it as a hook that draws the kids in. As a matter of fact, next Saturday at Kingston High School over in West Dallas, we're gonna host a junior NBA clinic that the National is a part of, and we're gonna hopefully have at least 100 youth there that day, and we're gonna introduce them to some of the former players that live in the area, and maybe a few from out of town. And our mission is to just instill in them that through sports, many lessons can be learned, lifelong lessons that you never forget. Because to be a good athlete, you have to have a lot of confidence in yourself, and you have to have a lot of tenacity in order to develop yourself to become a great athlete. But beyond that, most of those kids will not be good athletes. But we want to use this platform to teach them about the other things in life that they have to develop that same tenacity for. You know, just making a career for themselves, finding out who they are. So that's our main goal. That's my main goal as chairman, as president of the Dallas chapter, is to interact with our youth. We will have police officers there that will be interacting with the youth. That's a twofold mission. First of all, we're teaching the kids that we need police, and you have to respect police. And if you don't, normally there are bad consequences as a result. And it enables our youth to become have a different perspective on what police officers' jobs are and what they do. So that's just a few of the things that we do.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Of course, you accentuate education too.
Yes.
That even though you play basketball, you want to go to school and get an education.
That is my main goal. I made a decision a couple of years ago that I don't want to show up at a gym and throw out some basketballs. Kids run for a couple of hours, have a lot of fun, have a great time, and then they leave. But they leave, we send them out the same way they came. Because most of these kids are not ever they're not even make a high school team. So we use that opportunity to teach them about life, and some of the things to encourage them that, this sports is a great way to have interactions with one another, but it's also a great way for you to meet people and learn how to navigate life. So that's what we try and do.
We also have a magazine, Youth Sports Today, an online magazine, and our articles and our stories are about youth and achieving their dreams and goals. What would you say to young people about achieving their dreams, whether it's sports, medicine, education, the arts? What's your advice to young people just trying to find their way?
First of all, the first thing we do in our education workshops that we hold at schools with the youth that a particular school will select for us to interact with, we normally have 35, 40 kids in a classroom. We're there all day long from 9 o'clock in the morning till about 4 in the evening. The first thing we do is we do an assessment. We have the kids to fill out an assessment that tells them where their talents are, where their skill set is, and we go from there, because most kids don't know that. They don't know what their skill sets are. And when they get with someone else that lead them in the wrong direction, then many times when you try to bring them back in, it's too late. So if a kid knows that he's talented, maybe you have interpersonal skills, you can talk, maybe you have another skill set that you can utilize for the rest of your life, but they don't know that. Many kids do not have any clue of where their skill sets lie. And that's the first thing we do. And then we go from there with the workshop, teaching them and demonstrating an elevator speech. You meet somebody and you want to introduce yourself to them. Maybe it's a person that you'd like to do an internship with. And you got 5 to 10 seconds to introduce yourself and tell them who you are and what you'd like to do. And it's just it's amazing how well this goes off with our youth.
Well, that's great. We obviously have a swim meet going on here, which is fun. We have a lot of young kids swimming today at Brookhaven Country Club. I just remember doing an article about the first tee, which is golf's version of kind of what you guys are doing. And I remember the title was It Starts with a Handshake. In other words, not only an elevator speech, but learn how to shake hands with someone.
Our kids don't know how to do that.
I know. So
they don't know how to do that.
Right.
That's a lost art.
So you teach them. I remember Mr. Triggs at church. Don't give me that wet fish.
Don't
break somebody's hand, but give them a firm handshake.
When they're shaking your hand, they're looking down.
Right.
We tell them, don't look down when you're shaking someone's hand. Look at them.
That's right.
Yeah, I tell them I become leery if I'm shaking your hand and you're looking down. I don't know what you're looking at.
Right.
So it's just little simple things like that gets past a bunch of our kids, and it gets them. They can't operate in the real world.
If somebody wants to help or get involved, how can they get in touch with you or the organization? And what do you have coming up in the future that people might be able to get involved with?
Well, we're going to have to enhance our social media platform to where we are more accessible to people that, social media is the way to go in this day and time. But we have a website, and my email address is on there on the website. I don't think my telephone number is, but my email address is. And they could reach us through that. It's NBRPA-Dallas.org.
NBRPA-Dallas.org.
Just Google that, and we'll come up, and it'll show you some of the things that we're doing here locally and how to get in touch with us.
Tell us something we missed. Is there something you would like to say that we haven't asked about, or something that you want people to know going forward?
Well, I would like for people to know that I have a lot of great people that has surrounded this organization, our organization, that has enabled us to be here today. You know, we otherwise, I don't know that I would have had the wherewithal to get us here to this platform today. Tom Fireover, his media team right here, those are the guys that I owe a lot of gratitude to. We have a tremendous advisory board that help us navigate the landscape of Dallas that I don't have access to, but they do. So those are the people that I want to give a shout out to today.
I want to ask you, I love history, and we talked a little bit before you came on, and we know you played for the Dallas Chaparrals, which was an old ABA franchise in Dallas, played at Moody Coliseum, then downtown at the Convention Center, became the San Antonio Spurs, and all those championships they won. And you grew up in Fairfield and played at University of North Texas.
Yes.
Tell us probably your one or two of your top memories from playing basketball.
Well, let me fast forward to the basketball career and then to where we are today.
Okay, beautiful.
My greatest, and I was just sharing this with some guys that's here to play in our tournament that came here from Houston, Chicago, DC. My greatest satisfaction today is just having a relationship with all of these guys that I wouldn't know otherwise. And I've met so many young players that I wouldn't know if it were not for this organization. I would not know them because we many times All-Star Weekend, summer, we have a summer retreat. We all end up in the same spaces, and that's my greatest joy, just knowing these guys and meeting these guys, hearing their stories. That sometimes they are embellished. You know, the stories get big. It's like the fish. You know, the guy that caught the fish, and so that's my greatest. That's some of my greatest. So
the friendships.
Yes, sir.
It's just
and then having a platform that God gave me years ago that's still alive today if you do something with it, to serve others. And that's my goal. That's what I do.
Well, that's what
motivates me.
That's wonderful.
Yes, sir.
Can I tell my great basketball story real quick?
Sure.
I was in line to get on a plane at the National Airport in Washington, and a tall black man was practicing his golf swing.
Right.
I said, how'd you play today? He said, oh, pretty good. I played in Bobby Mitchell's charity tournament.
Okay.
Great for the Washington Redskins back in the day.
Right, yeah, I remember Bobby Mitchell.
I said, you must be a pro athlete. He goes, I did. I played basketball. And I said, really? Who for? And he goes, the 76ers. And I said, with Dr. J? And he goes, no, I'm an older guy. I said, with Wilt and Hal Greer? And he goes, who do you think you're talking to? It was Hal Greer.
Hal Greer, wow.
We lost him about a year ago.
Yeah.
But what a great player, what a great guy. And I had that little moment with him.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about with these relationships.
Yeah, right. The only guy that I ever saw shoot his free throws with a jump shot.
Right. And that's no embellishment.
Good insight.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us and for this tournament and all that you guys do in the community.
Thank you for having us.
Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Willie. God bless you.
God bless you.
You bet. Yeah, Justin Stafford, you're enjoying a day here at Brookhaven Country Club. Playing with Ron Boone, a former ABA player for the Dallas Chaparrals, and I understand you made the first hole-in-one at the Tempest, one of our sponsors.
I did. Beautiful course, and it was exciting to make that first one. The first thing I said was the marshal was next to me. Did I win 10 grand? And he said, no, that was the previous par 3.
And such is life.
That's right.
But you had the satisfaction of making hole-in-one.
Yeah.
What hole was it and what iron?
Oh, it was the one over the creek.
Like number 4?
No, it was a long one. I can't remember.
Okay. Trying to remember.
Kind of downhill over creek, big green.
Oh, yeah, 13.
13, yeah. Because 7 was the previous.
Or actually 12.
Okay,
12.
yeah.
12. Yeah, that's the prettiest hole out there.
It is, yeah. That was fun.
So you must have used like a 6-iron or something?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And you could see it go in, and it was fun.
I think you got to go make a putt here
right
now.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping by. This is Jimmy King. We're talking to Jimmy King. He was part of the Fab Five at Michigan, and he's down here with the retired Professional Basketball Players Association. You having some fun today?
Having a great time today. My crew is great. Tubbs Brewing, they're showing me great beer, but they're also showing me a great swing.
There you go.
So we got a good balance out here.
Now, don't hit me, but I didn't realize you were such a good dribbler.
Well, you know, I have to stay true to my sport.
There you go. There you go. Well, you know, golf is a really tough game for the tall man. You knew that.
Well, you know, I don't want to have any excuses out here, but thank you. You know, I appreciate that. But it's only the second hole, so I'm just warming up. I'm just getting started.
Absolutely. It's just a little more to sync up.
Well, you know, it's raining a little bit. The sun is not shining. It's behind the clouds. You know, I'm kind of bummed about that, but I'm going to get it together.
Sounds good. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ron Boone, former Dallas Chaparral player from Omaha, Nebraska originally, and I noticed you hit a great iron shot in here, and then somebody made the putt for the birdie. You didn't make it, but you were very close.
Got some pretty good players in this group.
I noticed.
Lucky shot, I think, had it lined up at about 115, somewhere in there. So I hit my driver and got it close.
Yeah, well, it had backspin on the ball, which always impresses me, you know, and also the fact that you went first, and you look like the A player going first. Maybe I'm wrong.
No,
You're not the A player?
I'm not the A player. We got two guys in this group that hit it pretty good there. But seniors get the chance to hit from a close tee, so hopefully I can start providing some help for these guys.
That's right. And we're out here. This is the National Basketball Retired Players Association for a great cause, Scott Murray Foundation Scholarship. I guess you guys are having a good time.
Always have a good time. No such thing as a bad day of golf, but you know, the Retired Players Association does a great job of providing, you know, doing a lot of charity work. There's a lot of chapters around the the states, a lot of the NBA cities that do a great job there as well.
Right. Well, we enjoyed seeing you today and glad we got a chance to visit.
I'm glad you did too.
Okay,
Right,
thanks,
thank
man.
you.
Play good.
And thank you once again for one of our sponsors, Piranha Haven, this wonderful little spiritual gift shop in downtown Richardson. If you go into Piranha Haven, you'll see all kind of merchandise from free trade villages, local artists, incense, sage, many items, spiritual items within the shop. If you see Alex there, tell her dad said hello. It's also a family-owned business, and stop by and see them anytime. And if you want, you can stop by on the fourth Saturday of every month for their psychic fair. So go to piranhahaven.com and check out all they do for the community. Welcome back to this very special edition of Advocacy in Motion, and with Hit It Where They Mow, talking golf in Texas with Pat Wheeler. And today, another special guest, Mr. Scott Murray. Anybody who has any knowledge of sportscasting or current events in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for many years, you'll know our guest. So welcome, Scott. Thank you for joining us.
Delighted to be here. Sounds like my agent, doesn't he?
I know, like I said. And as we're talking, you know, and looking up some things, and I've known you for years and who you are, and we've spoken before. But there were pages and pages of all your accolades in Sportscaster of the Year 17 times, I believe. So many honors and things you do. But what we want to talk about today a little bit is your association with so many nonprofit organizations and what you're doing to give back to the community. And fitting that recently with Memorial Day and 4th of July coming up, we did some podcasts with the Medal of Honor Museum and with the Folds of Honor Group, which gives scholarships to the children of fallen soldiers. And you did a couple documentaries, one with D-Day in Normandy and the other one with Pearl Harbor. Can you tell us about how you're involved with that and what that meant to you?
Well, I never served in the, I came right after the Vietnam War, so there wasn't a lot going on until the Persian Gulf and what have you in the early 90s. And I was studying to be a doctor. And so I was going to be a pediatrician. My best friend died of leukemia when we were both in second grade. So I thought I was going to find a cure for childhood cancer. Haven't done so yet, but just have always enjoyed working with children and with medicine. And my sister is a pediatric oncologist, teaches at the medical school. She just, she kind of followed in my footsteps, but she ended up going that way, and I ended up going, spending 30 years in television as a sports anchor, which I have no regrets on. But I continue to do the nonprofit work, especially with children, medicine, and the military. Those are probably my three favorites, and certainly sports, but those are probably my three favorites. And so when I was working at NBC5, continuing to be the sports anchor. My son graduated from Baylor University with a degree in television film. And he said, Dad, you're emceeing or speaking at thousands of events, hundreds every year. Why don't we have our own television production company and we could do the AV and create the videos and what have you for these nonprofits or corporations? I said, that's not a bad idea. And he said, yeah. He said, you're not going to be on television the rest of your life. Let's do that and we could work together. Well, I have a great relationship with both my son and my daughter. I'm real proud of both of them. And so I said to my son, well, that's not a bad idea. Let's do it. So we created Murray Media World, and it's a television production company. So we work together, and I wouldn't know how to turn a camera on. And he is so tech savvy, it's crazy. So we did that, and with all my military involvement, my dad was in the Air Force, but that really is my only involvement with the military until we got involved. But I was asked to MC a number of these things. You mentioned Folds of Honor. I've MC'd the Veterans Day Parade in Dallas, the opening ceremonies for 30 minutes. It comes before the parade. I've spoken just last Monday. At Greenwood, I did have emceed their, ceremony that they have on Memorial Day for the Gold Star families and all the other. There are lots of veterans there. Back in March, emceed at the Frontiers of Flight Museum with I think there were 500 or 600 people there, but that was the 50th anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War. America's involvement with the Vietnam War. I was asked to MC that, and there were a number of generals and admirals and what have you. So always have just I'm on another board called Tribute to Valor. I MC'd Skyball for American Airlines and what have you for years. Just really have anything to do with the military, I'm there. So I was asked to go to Normandy on the 70th anniversary. So I said, can I bring my son? They said, sure, we can't pay anybody. I said, you don't have to pay us a dime. You get us there, and they said, well, we've got 24 vets going to be on a bus for 2 weeks. And they're going to have a relative or something, a son or daughter with them, just to kind of watch over them, because they're all in their 90s now. And I said, that sounds great. Well, we did that. We went off and went to Germany, Luxembourg, Belgium, and back to France. And it was the most emotional thing for the greatest generation, as they say. Even many of the sons and daughters who were there goes, Dad, you never told us that story. We never heard that. They just had never heard anything about what their dad or mom had done. So long story short, we did that. My son shot the whole thing. I edited it and did the interviews and what have you, and wrote it, put it together, and hosted it, and we both won an Emmy. I'd won some at NBC5, but in sports, but to win an Emmy with my son going to Normandy, highlighted my professional career. Nothing will ever top it. And then we were asked to go to Pearl Harbor on the 75th and did the same thing. And so we just really enjoy working together. But anything to do with the media, I'm there. And of course, you mentioned Chris over at the Medal of Honor. Have done some events with him and emceed some different events. So know him well, and just anything to do with the military, I'm there.
I think we're just so blessed that museum is here.
Oh, it's fantastic.
In Arlington,
it's
and
fantastic.
It's really anybody gets a chance to go out there to the preview center or watch them and be open.
Over the top. Totally agree.
Perfect. Just a wonderful job.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Tell us about your relationship with the National Basketball Retired Players Association and the work that they're doing.
Well, I think anybody that's involved, I say in one of my speeches, live your life as a go-getter, but share your life as a go-giver. And that's, to me, what life should be about every single day. I have two of the most incredible parents. My mother passed away just last year. Lost my dad to prostate cancer about 10 years ago. But I just learned from my parents, you make a difference in this world. And I was 7 years old, went out trick-or-treating with my buddy that I said passed away when we were both 7 in second grade. And we came back from trick-or-treating, and my mother had 2 little Maxwell House coffee cans wrapped with this thing around it. It said UNICEF. I said, what's that? It stands for UNICEF. Oh, okay. So today we're going to go out. Fellas, you got all your candy and all your wonderful things. Now you're going to go collect money for some boys and girls around the world that don't have anything. They don't have candy. They don't have food. They might not have a place to live. They don't have a mom and a dad. We're going to help them out. That was my first introduction to philanthropy, and that was my parents. They were just like that. They were involved with the school board, with the United Way, with the the community chest, Salvation Army, and I just learned at a young age to be involved like that. So I just have always really enjoyed being involved. And your question again, you asked me.
Well, your involvement with this golf tournament we're
Yeah.
having today.
Well, the NBA, of course,
yeah.
I cover the NBA, so
Okay.
know most of the players that are involved in it, certainly the ones from this area, and just have incredible respect for them, for those that have decided that they want to give a little something back. They know what a great career they had. They might have won some titles. They might not have. They might have been an all-star. They might not have. But the bottom line is they want to make a difference in the lives of those that need it most. And so whether it's children or adults, they just know there are folks out there, probably now more than ever, that need a helping hand. And so I have great respect for them. And when they call and say, hey, Scott, will you come speak to our group or will you come MC something? That's a no-brainer. I'm there. It's so that's it just I really enjoy it and have all the respect in the world for this group, or whether it's football, baseball, basketball, whatever it might be, military.
Just want to follow up. We had Willie Davis on, and he talked about
Good man. Good man.
trying to reach the kids early on and let them know what their skills are. What about Scott Murray? How did you get into sports broadcasting, or when did you realize this is something you really wanted to pursue?
It's funny you asked me that question. As I said, I want to be a pediatrician since I was 7 years old. I'm 17 years old. I'm a freshman in college. I'm driving down the road to go to class, go to school. All of a sudden, I hear a guy on the radio go, "How would you like to make millions of dollars? Travel to millions of locations, meet millions of girls. You too can be a disc jockey." So I pulled right in and I said, "This is me, man. I'd love to be a disc jockey." So I went in and applied for the job. Never heard a thing. 2-3 months went by, and all of a sudden I get a call when I just walked in the front door, and the phone rings. I said, "Hello, Mr. Murray?" I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "You want me or my father?" "No, I think we want you." And then they explained to me who they were, and I go, "Oh my gosh." So I'm still in the running. They said, "Well, we had 517 applications for that job." I said, "Are you serious?" And they said, "Yeah, we've whittled the list down to a final 18. You're one of the 18. We like the resume tape that you put together, but we'd like to have another one done. If you can come down, if you're still interested." I said, "Yes, sir, I sure am." Well, I went down, ended up getting the job. So I worked the all-night shift. I worked from 1 till 6 in the morning my freshman, sophomore years in college. And it was incredible. I called myself Doc Scott, the sound surgeon, because I was going to be a doctor, and I was spinning records. And so Doc Scott, well, they put some billboards up around town, said, spend the night or whatever it said with Doc Scott, the sound surgeon. They had a picture of me, and I looked about 10 years old. And it was the general manager at the CBS affiliate television station saw it and called me, said, "You ever done TV commercials?" I said, "No, sir." "Well, come on in, and we need to talk to you." So my first commercial was, "Hey, Mom, Dad got the new car." I remember that like it was yesterday. That's all I said. It was a 30-second commercial. That was my only line. But then he called me in one day and he opened up his desk drawer and he said, "Scott, try this on." I said, "What is it, Mike?" He said, "It's a fake mustache. I need to give you a little age so you don't look like my baby-faced paperboy. You'd be a great news anchor. You've got the voice and the look." And I said, "Well, I'm honored, Mike, but I said, I really don't want to cover blood and guts." I said, "But if you got a job in sports," played a lot of sports, memorized the back of every football, baseball, basketball card I ever had. So I said, that's something. He said, "You a good writer?" Well, my degree's in psychology, but I had a minor in biology and English. So I was a pretty good writer, and so I said, "Sure." So at any rate, I went and met the news director, and everything went fine. And they let me do a couple of stories, and they actually put them on the air. And I called my folks. I'm 19 years old, and then just before I was going to go to Duke because my mother her family had all gone to Duke University. I wanted to go to medical school at Duke. So all of a sudden one day I'm sitting in the newsroom, or in the studio doing the show, and the bat phone. It's a big bright phone like this, but it flashed. It didn't ring in case you happen to be on the air. So I pick it up. Scott. I said, "Mike, what's the matter?" It's Mike. I said, "Yeah, I know. What's the matter?" He said, "Jim just fired Eddie." Jim was the news director. Eddie was the sports anchor. And they got into a shouting match or something in the newsroom, and said, "Eddie, you're out of here." He didn't have a a sports anchor for the early and late news. So he said, "Go home and I've already called George, the GM at the radio station." He said, "He's got you covered. Go home and get a suit on and get over here." It was 10 to 5 on a Friday afternoon. I got an hour to drive. Well, at any rate, I tore home. I did the news and did the early and late show. And before I went to med school, they offered me the job.
Was that here?
Where
No,
was this?
That was in Rochester, New York.
Okay.
Wow.
I was going to the University of Rochester. My grandfather had been, I'm trying to think, the dean of the medical school or whatever. He was at the, he had some involvement, whatever. He died when my mother was 9 years old, so I never met him. But there was a relationship there, and so.
I have a segue for my next question.
Yeah.
All right.
When you said you listened to the radio,
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say it was Frank Gleeper.
Oh,
And you
Frank-
wanted to be a sportscaster.
you know what? It's funny you say that.
but
Frank was
I-
a dear friend.
I knew he probably would be,
Yeah.
and I just want to
Yeah.
know
Dear
your
friend.
your favorite Dallas sports memory.
Well, probably the most impactful, or the biggest thing I was ever a part of is me and the two guys that worked with me, my weekend anchor and our photographer, our sports photographer. I broke the story of the sale of the Dallas Cowboys to Jerry Jones,
Wow.
and I had to call Tex Schramm and Tom Landry about 5 to 10 on February 23rd, 1989. I remember like yesterday. And I couldn't get Coach Landry. It was in the back in the day when they had busy signals. And I thought, oh gosh, because I wanted to tell them before I went on the air, because I knew they knew nothing what was happening.
Wow.
And so we had an inside source, and we'd been working with them for 4 or 5 months. And so at any rate, so I went on, talked, I'm trying to think. It was, I talked to him, and he said, get over here. I did the show, and then short time after they said you got the job. But I called Tom, and I couldn't get him, so I called Tex Schramm, the general manager. And I said, Tex, I said, Scott Murray, I said, I've only got a couple minutes because they've got me on at the top of the newscast tonight. I'm not going to my normal 25 after the hour for sports. He said, yeah, what's up, Scott? I said, well, I've got some horrendous news, and I can't tell you how sorry I am. But I said, the Cowboys have been sold. And the general manager the gentleman that's going to buy the team is going to probably take over as general manager. And he's going to replace Tom Landry with somebody we all know. I can't tell you right now who it is, but he's going to replace him. It was Jimmy Johnson.
Wow.
Because earlier that week I had said that my sports reporter and my photographer down to Miami, because I knew that Jimmy and Jerry were meeting at Jimmy's house. So I have pictures of Jimmy and Jerry in their driveway. And
It was quite the scoop.
yeah, it was a national story. So it was the biggest thing I was ever a part of. And so we broke that story. But I told Tex, and he said, Scott, I won't use some of the words that he came back at me with, but I felt so funny. He said, you got your head up there, you know where. And he said, I'm so sorry, Scott. But I said, I'm so sorry, Tex. He said, Scott, you'll never work in this town again if you go with this story. And I said, I understand, Tex. I know you don't know anything about it, but I just wanted to tell you before I went on the air and shared it.
Wow.
And so I said, would you please call Coach and tell him, because I couldn't get him because of the night. And then the next morning, 6:30 in the morning, I was at Valley Ranch, the old home of the Cowboys, and Coach Landry was there cleaning out his desk. So Jerry Jones gets blamed for not telling Coach Landry and Tex Schramm. They had a news conference scheduled a couple of days later that they were going to announce it on Saturday. And but they did not tell, they hadn't told anybody. So that's why. And so when Tom found out, he just went down to his place in Austin.
Right.
Excuse me. So yeah, that was a tough one. That was a tough
Seems
one.
like yesterday, doesn't it?
Well, it's over 30 years ago.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
You know.
I know.
Yeah.
All right.
What a great story, Tom.
What else you got? I see lots of notes there.
These are, they're not all yours. But,
Oh, okay.
but
That's good.
now tell us a little bit more about the Scott Murray Foundation and the Scholarship Fund before we let you go.
Okay. Well, as I said, I was studying to be a pediatrician, so anything I can do with kids, that's why I do all the, I've been very fortunate to have been honored with lots of awards over the years, and I'm really honored by the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, which is the Emmys. I was on their board. I'm off it right now. I'll go back on next year, but they surprised me last year. Said we want to name a scholarship after you, Scott. So they named the Scott Murray Scholarship in sports broadcasting, and a young gal from they gave it away at the Sports Emmys, and a young gal from San Antonio who wants to be a sideline reporter, like she and her dad used to watch on Sunday afternoon the NFL games. That's what she wants to do. So But I had done some stuff like that, and then the National Football Foundation, of which I'm on the board, they said, Scott, we want to do an award after you called the Scott Murray Community Service Award. So this other group of people said, we need to give the scholarship that we created in Scott's name. And
I didn't do it.
And so at any rate, so I said, yeah. So at any rate, I said, what is it? Well, they created this Unsung Hero Award and announced and honored me with this thing. So to answer your question, that's how this all came about. And they had this scholarship that had been created some years ago by a gentleman who's an attorney here in Dallas. And he said, I'd like to present my scholarship and put Scott's name on it and give this scholarship to Scott because he did so much in the community with kids. Well, needless to say, I was most honored. So we last September we gave away 14 scholarships to college kids or high school kids that needed a ride to college, needed some help, and they were with parents that didn't have the wherewithal, or maybe anybody in their generation had not gone to college. So it's worked out real well, and the kids are just great. And I'm most honored to be a part of it. We've got some great people on the board, and Timmy Newsom, former Dallas Cowboy, is one of the players that's on the board, and so it's just
That's great.
it's just a lot of fun, and I'm most honored to be a part of it.
Very good. Before we let you go, I
Yeah.
know you do tons of motivational speaking. How can people get in touch with you? How can people help the foundation? How can they help?
Well, they can find me at Scott at murraymedia.net.
Okay.
Scott at Murray Media. Murray is MURRAY media.net. Or they can go to the scholarship. The scholarship is Scott Murray Scholarship Fund.org. O-R-G.
Very
Scott
good.
Murray Scholarship Fund.org.
Wonderful. We certainly appreciate all you do in the community for the nonprofits
anytime,
and for
yeah.
the kids and everything. And thank you for your time.
Oh my gosh, this
Here
is a
today.
no-brainer. Thanks for what you're doing here today. I think it's great.
All right.
I
Thank
wanted
you.
to mention, I love that. Be a go-getter and then a go-giver. I love that.
I tell you what, I've written a new one that I've just about memorized. If you've got 2 seconds,
2 seconds.
I
yeah.
can read it to you. This is Leadership America is my keynote. Leadership America, creating champions of change through a culture of civility. Because people are no longer kind, courteous, and respectful to one another. So how do you get there? Well, I have 10 words, the perfect 10, that all start with the letter C. Credibility, continuity, creativity, consistency, courage, commitment, character, compassion. Not confrontation, but conversation. And we've lost the ability to do that.
That's great.
So I've written, this is my Leadership America creed. It says, living life is not about me. A purposeful life is all about we, sharing together. Always all that we see, even though we might not always agree. Respectful and kind is forever key. Truthful and transparent is what we should be. Eradicating the anger and the hateful debris. Live not in a world where we need referees. Let us move forward in a place we foresee, diverse and inclusive for both he and she. Matters not religion nor race, faith is for thee. We must live in a world that's our home of the free. So that's my creed, that I love
Very
to
good.
create stuff that rhymes
Excellent.
but has
That is
meaning.
wonderful.
So that kind of plays off. I'm in the process of writing that live your life as a go-getter, share your life as a go-giver, as a three-verse poem.
Wonderful.
So,
Beautiful, Scott.
So if I can come speak to your group or MC, I'm always there. Happy
I
to do
will.
it.
Thank you so
No,
much.
thanks for the
We
time.
Appreciate it.
very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a tournament for the retired basketball players, but we got a retired football player here, Mr. Kenny Gant. Used to play for the Dallas Cowboys. You having some fun today?
I'm having a great time. Matter of fact, I know I got pretty personal, good friends with some of the guys. Major Jones actually come from Albany State, where I went to schools.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Now, Albany State, is that New York?
Albany, Georgia.
Georgia,
We
that's
gotta
what I was
get it-
thinking. I
gotta
spent
get
some
it
time
right.
in Atlanta.
So
I know about Albany, Georgia.
So I do, thankful that they bring some football players out to hang out with the basketball players.
So what years did you play for the Cowboys?
90 through 94.
Okay, and you played defensive back?
Yes, sir. Played cornerback, safety, some nickel linebacker. So I did it all.
So tell me, who was the toughest guy you had to guard? Or not guard, but what do you call it? Cover.
Cover, yeah. I always try to stay away from Michael Irvin and all those guys, my teammates. But if I had to pick one in the NFL, I had a rough time with Art Monk.
Art Monk. Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh. Always comes back to Dallas and Washington, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about Jerry Rice? You ever played
Jerry
against
Rice
Jerry?
was okay, but you know how to get up under his skin. I really didn't, but I see Kevin Smith get up under his skin, but he couldn't really shake Art Monk. He was calm, cool, collective, and went out and did his job.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, they say golf is the largest small fraternity. How about you, former football player?
The fun part about that, it reminds us of football a little bit because we play a few holes, and then we get to go and try to find the nearest whirlpool or hot tub so we relax. I really don't. I played some of it, but once I start hurting, it kind of shuts me down. But it's fun while it lasts.
Fantastic. Now, what are you doing these days, my man?
I have my own foundation, Shark 29 Charities, which I advocate on behalf of women and men of domestic violence. Lost a sister to it in '90 to a coward. It shot her 4 times in the back while she hung up clothes in the backyard. So, I advocate on behalf of that. Been 3 years since I did it, going into my 4th year, and looking forward to be bigger and better.
How can people support you on that? You got a website?
Yes, I do. Shark 29 Charities. I'm going through some changes with it, so the closer to the New Year start, I'll probably have it up and running. Hopefully I can see you guys again so we can make sure we get it right.
Absolutely. Now, one other question, just
Yes,
because
sir.
I'm a curious type. Did you grow up in Georgia somewhere?
I grew up in Lakeland, Florida, down in
Lakeland?
the middle of Florida. And by some chance, I still think that Jimmy Johnson recruited a lot of guys while they was in high school. And then when he became in the pros, he went back and found those guys and said, yeah, I remember him from high school. Because we had so many guys from Florida on the team. We had at least 17, 18 guys on the team.
Very interesting. There was a pretty good linebacker that was from Lakeland, if I remember right.
Oh, yeah, same high school.
There
We
you
grew
go.
about a mile apart. Old Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis.
So
Well, we want to thank you for stopping
Yes,
by
sir,
and wish
man.
you birdies all the way in.
all right, I'll take it. I receive it because they hadn't failed yet.
Thank you, Nick.
All right.
I tell you, Tommy, we're having some fun here today at Brookhaven Country Club, and I believe the swim meet is finally concluded. So now we're just seeing all these former great basketball players and great football players, and that brings us to our next guest, who, like you and me, is an East Texan, kinda. He's from Shreveport, a former player in the NFL, and I think you're the head of the NFL Alumni now.
I am.
Mr. Liffort Hobley, welcome to two podcasts, Hit It Where They Mow, and also Advocacy in Motion with Tommy Finn.
See, I've never done 2 shows at the same time. This is going to be amazing.
Yes, it is.
Well, tell us about being here today for the National Basketball Players or Retired Players Association event, and how it kind of goes side by side with what you do with the NFL.
Certainly. Willie Davis, president, and I been friends for quite a long time here in the community. And a few years back, I got a chance to play in this golf tournament over at another golf course.
Okay.
And we sat down after the tournament and looked at some of the things we saw, which we had a few NFL players, NBA players, working for the same initiative. So he and I got together. We've done a few things together in the educational community with kids, and we think we can do a lot more together as a unit in NBA retired players, NFL alumni, which is all the retired players in our community. We also have a lot of ladies that's a part of our organization, which is the cheer organization. So we have about 800, 900 former cheerleaders living in our community that are part of the NFL alumni as
You
well.
probably know Robin Ballatuto.
Yes, I do, very well.
She's the one that got me into radio 10 years ago. Very active, and she posts about the NFL Alumni Association
yeah.
quite a bit. The sports angel. What a great
She
what a
is.
great
I've
person.
known Robin, boy, we date back to the 90s when she was a cheerleader with the Eagles, and then she was the director for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I was the player program coordinator for the Miami Dolphins at that time after I retired.
Fantastic.
So we did a lot together. We still, hopefully still can in this community. I've been here for about 21 years, 6 years as the NFL Alumni President. And I tell you what, to work with former players in the community, to do the things that we've done as far as our, I would probably say, our hopes and dreams that we actually had when we were kids. I just want to be able to provide the same thing to the kids that are watching these young guys do what we've done for many years.
Yeah. Tommy, I think the theme today has been giving back. And, you know, I noticed he mentioned they do a lot for young kids, and a lot of it's around education, indoctrination, if you will. And
Certainly.
Like learning how to shake hands. We were
Exactly.
talking to Willie Davis. Look at someone when you shake their hand. We take a lot of that for granted, but a lot of people need to learn that.
They really do. They really do. And then, of course, that collaboration skill where we're actually going to the schools, setting up opportunities for kids to understand that, hey, starting at the 9th grade, you have the opportunity to continue to work on educational things outside of the school. Mm-hmm. You have the ability to take the ACT test as many times as you want from 9th grade through high school. So we give them that ability to do that through the sources that we have available when we go out to a school. And of course, that collaboration goes in one ear and out the other ear when teachers and educators are telling them that. And then of course, you get someone like a former player coming to a school to talk to kids about SCT, ACT, and of course, and thank goodness the STAR test is no longer.
Right.
To get that out of the way, because I think kids have more. They're struggling with other things in their lives that basically doesn't need to have another obstacle in the way to force them to actually think about something else.
Yeah, we had distractions, but it was stuff like crawdad fishing and stuff like that versus the internet and all that kind of good stuff.
Exactly.
I'd be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about golf. Tell us about your golf game.
Oh man, this is. I started out in 1990. The first tournament I played in was Don Shula's, Coach Don Shula's Classic, and I'm playing with the president of Bacardi Rum, and I'd never played golf before. And the first thing, can you play? I went, yeah, I just started. He's like, oh crap, this guy. But it turned out that I could actually play. I can putt. I've always been a good putter. I don't know where it came from. We were talking about that.
Yeah, we were.
Basketball players are being as good putters because of their touch. Mm-hmm. I had that touch, and I still have it. So I volunteer on Sundays at my home golf course in Fort Worth, Texas, Rockwood Golf Course. So I'm the starter there on Sunday, so I get to play free golf.
Wrote a story about Rockwood when they redid it. It's a beautiful job.
It is.
And you know what? I was just thinking, they mentioned basketball players being a good putter. Liffort said he's a good putter. Remember our baseball buddies that were such great putters?
Oh, yeah.
Remember we played I think we played out here in a tournament. And I was amazed.
Some of our hockey players out here, too.
Oh,
They are not good putters.
Which is amazing.
But they
that
can
they're
hit
not.
long balls.
Yes, they can.
So how well do you play now? You shoot in the 80s, 90s? Or?
Well, actually, back in my
70s?
younger days, I was actually down to about a 8 handicap.
Very good.
Now I'm over 60. I hit it a little bit more straighter. So Golf Gen's got me registered, and I think Golf Gen's kind of poking at me. They have me registered as a 4.
Wow.
Very good.
Wow, that's outstanding. Now, I have everybody go ahead and roll your eyes. I have a theory. Were you a punter? Could you punt a football?
In high school?
Yes.
I could hit it about 45.
See? If a person can punt a football, in my opinion, they can do anything athletically. Because the rhythm, the coordination, the timing, it's all part of it.
It is.
Yeah.
It
so
is.
Tell us about what's coming up for you guys as far as initiatives or things you got coming up this year.
I'm on a lot of boards.
Okay.
I'm on the community board with the Fort Worth Police Department.
Excellent.
I'm on the advisory board with the Super Bowl of Caring, which is labeled NFL Alumni Tackle Hunger. I basically started that to help focus on community initiatives for kids And we look at, I've gone in a lot of high schools around the state of Texas and around the country, and I noticed that there's very few food pantries on campus. The food banks are great, but if you have a food pantry at local schools where local families can actually access those products without having to go outside of their community, it grows the community and it betters the community.
Excellent.
So I think working with the Super Bowl of Carings actually opened my eyes to how many of our kids and their families are suffering from nutritional situations where they're not getting the food, they can't afford it, or they just don't have the resources to leave their community to get it from a food bank or another facility like a pantry, and that's should be in their community less than 5 to 10 miles away, which sometimes is a struggle for someone that doesn't have access to transportation, may not be able to afford to public transportation to get them there, riding the city buses, or like in certain areas, DeSoto, Arlington, there's no city buses. There's no public transportation. So that's a struggle for a lot of those people in those communities to get the resources they need when they are available at the set food banks or food pantries. Super Bowl of Caring, we're trying to build out and build relationships with with all of the schools around the country, so we can actually show them how big of an asset they are when they allow us to come into their schools and take a look and see if there's ability to put a food pantry in their schools. It's an easy concept, but it's a big struggle to get it collaborated throughout the process to the head of the departments that we need to speak to.
The bureaucracy, if you will. Tommy, what is it you like to always ask?
We also publish a magazine called Youth Sports Today, a digital magazine, and our articles are about achieving goals for young people. And what would you say to young people coming up where their goals are anything, sports, education, music? What is your advice to a young person about following their dreams?
Well, it's the dream part of it that you follow in regards to, like, my life. I actually had so many dreams. I dreamed of opportunities that were available. The sports were great. There's other things I wanted to do as well. So that part, the humanitarian initiative, been a part of my life for a long time. And that sports dream, regardless of what it was, I played every sport. And I wanted to be great at them all. And I wanted to actually succeed in all of them. Unfortunately for me, there were 3 that I was really good at. So I followed those sports. And for kids that are following sports, not only the sport, but the educational part, the people that are actually supporting you, the teachers, the coaches. Man, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be sitting here. If I didn't have the teachers supporting me, the coaches supporting me, the parks and recreation coaches, police officers that were coaches in my community, guys that were dads that basically had few extra hours to spend with us in our community at the parks and recreations to support us. That's how I feel kids are actually missing. They're missing out on that parks and recreational system that we had as kids when we were growing up.
That's right. That's right. Well, in golf, we try to do that through the First Tee organization and other organizations. Usually you ask about how people can respond.
Absolutely, yes. Tell us how people get in touch with you, how they can help Players Association.
NFLalumni.org. Click on the Dallas chapter. You'll find me. You'll find me by email. You'll find my phone number. You'll find our corporate office phone number. If you can't get in touch with me through my email, which is impossible not to get in touch with me. I check my email every day. NFL Alumni, Liffort Hobley, Liffort.Hobley@NFLalumni.org. I check it 24/7.
Very good.
And just real quickly, your 3 sports that you were good at.
Football.
Okay.
I'd say 4. Basketball. Great athlete. Played basketball in high school. Probably could have had a couple of D2 offers to play basketball in college. Baseball, could have had an opportunity. I actually felt like I could play at the D1 level. I tried to walk on at LSU, but my head football coach at the time was like, "No, you're not." And I ran track.
That's good.
So at LSU, the Booth Garland was the track coach back then, and also a Byrd High School alumni.
Okay.
So he watched me in high school run track, and I just
What
didn't
was your
feel like
position
I could.
in football? Was it wide receiver, defensive back?
I was a quarterback in high school.
Quarterback.
So coming out of high school at
Poor
Byrd,
man's Patrick
yeah.
Mahomes.
So coming out of high school in Shreveport, Byrd High School, I was recruited as a quarterback to LSU.
There you go.
With Bo Ryan, who actually unfortunately died in a plane crash
Wayne
after
Stewart.
I signed my letter of intent that night before we left.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us and telling us
It's a pleasure.
about that and being here and all you guys are doing in the community and doing with the tournament here today and the Scholarship Foundation. So
We love it, and I enjoy it, and can't wait to do it again.
thank you so much.
All right, guys.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I tell you what, it's an honor and a pleasure for me to talk to a fellow SMU Mustang, Mr. Ira Terrell. Played basketball for the Ponies and then in the NBA, and we're out here for this retired players tournament. And how you having fun today? How you doing today, Ira?
Well, until you all brought that camera up there, we had birded everything. So I don't know. I don't want to blame anybody, but we just bogeyed one. But we're having a good time. I always do, meeting new friends and, just not getting too frustrated when you hit the ball out of bounds.
I understand. Now, you took a page from my playbook. I'm the greatest excuse maker in the world. So we drove up and kind of bothered y'all a little bit.
That's my excuse, and that's what I'm going to use. No, it's fun out here. It's overcast. It's not too hot yet, and you like to say you like meeting people, and you like to do it for the good cause.
Now, another excuse I'm real good at is that this is a hard game for the tall man. What are your thoughts on that?
Sometime, but I have tall friends that can hit it a long way. I mean, Too Tall Jones is out here. He hits the ball pretty well. Billy Joe DuPree, he's like 6'4", 6'5". He hits it well. But this is a game you have to practice, and you have to work with someone that knows what they're doing. And if they don't know what they're doing, they can't help you.
That's exactly right.
And I thought I could come out here because I was an athlete and play this game. No, absolutely not. And I don't throw clubs. I just realized, I'm just not a golfer.
Yeah.
But I've had some great shots in my life.
Right. Well, they say that golf is the world's largest small fraternity. I guess you fellow athletes feel the same way, basketball or football.
Well, they didn't invite me. I just kind of made myself part of the frat. I came out here and said I wanted to play. So I started playing, and I'm going to get my clubs, and I'm going to get the clothes and everything. No, that doesn't happen. But when I play with my buddies, it's such a fun fellowship. But when you hit that really good shot, that's why you keep coming back.
Exactly. And we want to thank you for stopping by, and
Absolutely.
birdies the rest of the way in.
At least, maybe a couple of eagles, because I'm going to start moving up to that bronze since I'm over 65. I can move up.
That's a good strategy.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
All
Okay.
right.
Well, we're here with old number 89, Billy Joe DuPree, all-world tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. And Billy Joe, you're a pretty good golfer. I know that.
Well, actually, I'm a fair golfer. I just play well enough to make sure I keep enough pesos in my pocket.
That's exactly right. And if I remember right, you got that little patented fade with the driver that just works fine.
Golf courses like this is ideal for it.
It is. Tell me about playing in an event like this with retired basketball players.
Well, for an event, it is a charitable type event that supports some of the elements of life and living that people may not, players or people may not have it for, and it gives them an opportunity to produce funds to help fill some of those gaps for them. And we're actually going through some of similar deals in the NFL where for retired players to kind of assist with making sure they got enough access to enough help and information so they can try to stay as healthy as possible.
Absolutely, and also I know there's a lot of outreach to the young people and their education and just trying to get them on the right track.
Yes, sir, and that's the one of the biggest aspects of it. Approaches, you got to get a chance to kind of pass wisdom and/or words, depends on how they receive it, that they can use later on in life or as they go through life.
It's always good to see you. You look like you could play right now.
Well, you put enough zeros behind that one, I'll try it.
There you go. Well, we're going to see you hit this T-ball, but we want to wish you nothing but birdies the rest of the way in.
Well, that's what we're looking for.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
Thank you.
All right, we are having a great time here at the National Basketball Retired Players Association Golf Tournament, benefiting the Scott Murray Scholarship Foundation. And I'm Tommy Finn, host of Advocacy in Motion, and this is a joint podcast with my partner here, Pat Wheeler, who is the host of Hit It Where They Mow, Talking Golf in Texas.
It's your basic twofer today.
That's it. We're having some fun. And our guest today is Scott Rochelle. Scott is the president of the Basketball Association.
That's right.
And so we're certainly happy to have you here with us today. And I know this goes back to 1992, I believe, was the foundation by a couple people you might know, Oscar Robertson, Dave Busher, Dave Bing. So tell us a little bit about the foundation today and your role in going forward.
Right, we can't forget Archie Clark as one of our founders as well.
Okay.
He was kind of the spearhead of a lot of what we're doing today. But the association started as an advocacy group for retired players. There were issues with pensions, health care, a lot of things that we have today that we don't want to take for granted. But those players came together to make sure the retired players were represented, had the transition services, and were able to remain in the game of basketball even though they weren't on the court. 92 is a growth period for the NBA, obviously with Michael the Jordan era and all the things that he brought to the table, making it a global game. This association was started to keep us in that game, to keep us relevant, to keep us going. And today, 2023, it's worked out pretty well. I mean, we're over 30 years old. We have health care for all of our players who played 3 years, lifetime health care. Pensions are the best in pro sports, and quite frankly, we have almost 2,000 former players in our universe right now who are a part of our family, which is really what it's about. It's creating a family, a community where players know where they belong. They've transitioned out of basketball, but they're not out of the NBA. They're not out on their own. There's still a place for them. Everyone's been a part of a locker room, right? And so this is what we do. Today is what we do. Bring players together, bring good people together, support a good cause, and at the end of the day, the association and the community benefit.
I know part of your mission is to have a positive impact on the community for players. Tell us about some of those programs and what you guys are doing in the community.
Well, it really starts with our chapter program. Today we're here with the Dallas chapter, very strong, run by Willie Davis. But having 12 chapter cities where players are boots on the ground. Obviously, we're doing a lot of work in the school system. We're doing youth basketball clinics. We're also doing youth basketball, not just instruction, but life skills. We have a national program to feed our kids in the communities, and so we're doing our feeding our food program around the holidays, reading programs in the schools, and that's just from the national standpoint. The chapters also have their own individual programs, but on a national scale, we do a program called the Full Court Press Prep for Success. Imagine 20 cities across the country where we take 5 former players in a room or in a gym full of 100 kids who've never had the opportunity to be around former NBA players. Give them basketball instruction, life skills, and just a really great day of enrichment with them. So we're doing that across 20 cities, and we do it in partnership with the Junior NBA. It's been going on for about 10 years now, and it really is one of our most rewarding programs. In the educational space, you mentioned Dave DeBuscher earlier. We have a Dave DeBuscher Scholarship Program that provides scholarships to the children and grandchildren of our members. We also have an external scholarship that supports young people who are attending HBCUs across the country. So we're in our 3rd year of that program, very proud of it. We do a nice job of raising funds and really galvanizing our community. This is a way of giving back to the community and making sure that the money that we're bringing in doesn't just go towards the transition of players, but our community as well, because that's so important to us.
Absolutely. You mentioned Morehouse College in Atlanta where you played some basketball. How did you get involved with this particular organization?
It's funny. I went to law school to practice, hoping to be a sports agent. And that was a dream that was really deferred, right? Okay. It's very difficult to get into the sport, in the sports world and sports business. I practiced law for about 7 years, and I started picking up clients where I could in sports and trying to do some of the work, mainly for retired football players. I started off in the NFLPA, had an agent's license, doing work there. And but through happenstance, we were able to meet the new CEO of this company at the time. and just pitched him on the work we were doing, the work I wanted to do. And I started as outside legal counsel in 2011. 2013, I was general counsel of this company. In 2017, 2018, I became CEO. So it's been a great 10-year stretch. I've loved every day of it, and it really is it's rewarding to work with people. You know, you practice law and you work for corporations, and it's kind of, you know, there's a distance here. This is people oriented, and so it's really fun to have the players we represent here today, people I've known for 10 years, worked with, helped, you know, stay engaged, and, you know, to see us grow to 2,000 members means we've done something right in the last 10 years.
It seems to me, Tommy, that, you know, we've been talking about giving back, and not only is it they benefit from pension and medical care, but also a purpose, right? They can invest back into the young people.
Absolutely.
I think it was Liffort, Hobley that said they can hear a lot of good things from their teachers, but when a pro athlete comes in and tells them, for whatever reason, it registers.
You know, basketball is the hook.
Yeah.
We have young people all across the country we engage, but we use basketball as a hook to get their attention, to keep them engaged, to get them to come out on Saturday morning. Right. Well, why are you coming out on Saturday morning? Well, I want to play basketball. Well, while you're here, you're also going to learn about life. You're going to learn about life lessons. You're going to learn about work ethic, all the different things that everyone wants to give young people, right? Right. Do they listen all the time? No. You tie it to basketball, you tie it to people who've played the game at the highest level, who are heroes to them, who they don't have normal access to. It works beautifully.
Wow.
You, in the organization, you also at one time served as Vice President of Partnerships and Corporate Relations.
Yes.
Fundraising.
Yes.
That's a great term for fundraising.
Absolutely.
And I know it's a delicate balance between fulfilling your mission and then raising the funds to make that possible. How do you maintain that balance, and what is your focus going forward there?
You know, here's the beauty of it. The national office based in Chicago has a staff of 8 to 10, but we also have our 12 chapters. And so our goal of the national office is we raise dollars and we support our mission, our operations, but using the chapters as the real vehicle for the community piece of it really is the most important. So we fund the chapters at a certain level, but they also raise their own money. But that division of labor and that partnership really works beautifully for us, because we don't want the chapters to have to go out and raise a whole bunch of money for themselves. We'll provide them that funding. We want you to raise money for your community. We'll go out and raise money for our transition programs, our educational programs, the health and wellness program. We have a health screening program where we do a full workup on our players 6 times a year in different parts of the country. It costs money, but that's on us to do. The players don't need to worry about that. And so today, the Dallas chapter doing their golf outing, they're going to raise money for their local charity. They don't need to worry about the other piece of it. We take that on. But you're right, it is a delicate balance. And, you know, quite frankly, what we've learned is that our players appreciate programming. You know, all they really want to do at the end of the day is have a place to call home and be able to come together. We learned that during the pandemic when we couldn't have our live events, and players continued to ask us questions about, hey, can we just get on a Zoom call? So we set up a weekly Zoom call. Wow. That's all we needed to do, was to give them the space to be amongst each other, to have their community. And so when you talk about raising dollars, a lot of the dollars we're raising right now is going back into player wellness and health, but also going right back down to the chapters to make sure they can do the job that they're doing as well.
We've covered some ground stuff, but tell us what we've missed. What would you like the audience to know that we haven't asked you, that you want to know about the association, or maybe some things you have going forward with the association? Well,
I mentioned the health and wellness piece of it. That's really a real focus of ours. We have an aging membership. When I first got involved, our average age was about 65. It's gone down to about 55 because we've been very, aggressive in getting younger players out, players who leave the game who may not need all the services but need a community. But health and wellness has been something across the board they're going to continue to need. And so working, we started the program with the NBRPA, where we do the health screening program for players at NBA All-Star Weekend, Summer League, and then we choose cities like Houston, Atlanta. We do Dallas as well, where we come in and we give players a full hour-long workup, EKG, echocardiogram, stress test, with all the blood work and those things. And we're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to build on that. We have new partnerships coming down the pipeline that will help us make sure that players are keep taking care of their bodies, keep themselves healthy. Because when you go from being an athlete to not being an athlete, there are things you need to continue to do. There are things you need to monitor, and things that you won't have as a part of a team. you won't have a trainer or a doctor at your disposal anymore. So we're trying to close that gap for them. So that's really important for us to take the funding that we're raising right now and put it into the health and wellness of our players. Education is very important for us. We're doing a lot of the work in the scholarship space. We want to continue to build that. We're supporting students through their college education. College education's got expensive. When I was in school, I think I graduated college about 20 years ago, and cost is triple to quadruple. And, it wasn't cheap back then. So what we need to do is make sure that we're putting real dollars into programs. There are ways to support students, and there's ways to support students. You can't just give $1,000 here and there anymore. You really have to put real money into it. So we're working hard to raise those dollars to make sure the students who are with our programs have adequate funding and support.
All right, very good. Well, we certainly appreciate your time. We absolutely appreciate being here, invited here, and being able to share the stories here at this great golf tournament.
Yeah.
And so good luck out on the course.
I'm going to need it.
Hit it. And as Pat would say,
hit it where they mow.
There we go.
Enjoy golf a lot more if you hit it where they mow.
That's
Scott,
absolutely
it's been
right.
a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
All right.
All right. We appreciate it.